He's gonna get. He's gonna fight me. He's something like me. He thinks he's awesome.
Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Shiver Me Timbers. Shiver Me Timbers is a game for 2 to 4 players in which each person is going to take on the role of a pirate captain who is trying to become the most infamous captain of the high seas. This is a sandbox game in which each person is going to kind of just go about it the way they want to, as far as how they want to try to earn the victory points that they need to pull off the win at the very end. If you want to, sink ships, that's definitely something you can do. If you want to hunt down other players, you can certainly do that. If you want to just be a trader, you can do that. If you want to try to kill the sea serpent and the kraken, you certainly can do that as well. This is a game that has its roots in things like old Sid Meier's Pirates. It also, obviously takes a lot from the Curse of the Black Pearl. I can't even think of the pirate movies' names right now, but you know the ones I'm talking about. It has both a supernatural feel to it, but also a very, very historical feel as well. The game is a little abstract as far as the map. It isn't like a big map of the Caribbean as you probably would expect that you normally would see in games like this. But the map itself is one that's created by the players, and so it's going to be different each time that you play. It also has some fantastic, almost like a toy aspect to it, because the ships themselves are models that you actually upgrade, and they actually get better as the game progresses, and you actually can see the upgrades happen. And you'll see that when I go and show you how that works. So the actual gameplay is going to take quite a while, and I do apologize for that. So I mean, if you don't want to sit back and watch me talk for a long time, you can either skip it or you can hit the old 2x speed or something, and you can kind of slow it down when you want to. But regardless, I'll show you how the game is played now, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you why I've got a new favorite pirate game. Now this is Shiver Me Timbers, and there is a lot of game here in front of you, and this is probably going to be a little bit one of my longer gameplay explanations, but just bear with me. I'm not going to show you a full game. I'm just going to kind of walk you through the different actions you can do, and kind of like the different themes and the cards, and just how certain aspects of the game will play out as you go. I should mention that this is a prototype that I was sent. The game looks fantastic. I mean, obviously you can tell that these are like 3D printed models that I have, and won't be like the ones that eventually are going to be part of the published game. So just keep that in mind as I go through the whole entire process. I'll just say this: if I was a kid and I got a game to look like this, I would be ecstatic compared to some of the stuff I had when I was younger. But regardless, as I said, Shiver Me Timbers is a pirate game. It is for 2 to 4 people, and you are all going to be racing to try to become the best possible pirate, and you can do that in lots of different ways. This is, as I said, a sandbox game. To set up the game, the players will work together actually to set up the board. In the essence of time, and not spending a lot of time showing this to you, but the players will actually draw these different tiles that are the different islands, and also these different sea spaces, and then they will put these together to form the board that you're going to be using for that particular session. Now obviously, since the players get to put it together, this is going to be different each and every time that you play. You are also going to draw randomly 5 goals, like game goals, and here's 2 that I didn't use. You do get more than the number you have, and those are these that you see up here, and this is also the duel track when people are going to be boarding, either attacking a fortress or boarding a ship, and you're going to be dueling either against other players or against the non-player characters in the game. I'll talk about that obviously when we get more into the combat section of the game, but just these 5 things are what the players are going to be working towards, and I have a couple of these 2 that I didn't draw, just so I can show you. So here's the big game hunter, hunt down the kraken and the sea serpent, which those are the 2 big sea monsters that you can do battle with. And here's a tomb raider, hide 3 treasures in your chest. So if you can gather treasures, you can put them in your treasure chest. Everybody gets one of those, and those 2 won't be used, but the other 5 will. One of the first things you're going to do when you play is that each player gets these tokens that you can see there. It has like that little red dot, and those correspond to those 5 things. And so you have one for each location that's on, and then you can see that there's like that 5 that on one side it says like 5 victory points, and the other side has those 2 like the marker of which one you're going for. You can score on any of them, but these are just bonus points. Each player will take their treasure chest, and the treasure chest is also used to hide your treasures and your money in. You do that because sometimes like you'll want to have the money at the end to score points, but also you can protect your treasures and your money by putting them in your treasure chest. But you'll just take 2 of these, and secretly you'll place those in the treasure, and then you'll take the other 3 and you'll discard them. Don't show them to other players, because they'll be able to figure out which ones you're going for, which ones are your bonus points. You might not be able to see it, but if you were the first person to complete one of those goals, you get 10 points. The second person gets 5 points. Those are also the things that determine how long the game lasts. There is no like set number of rounds for this game. You play until basically the penultimate, the second to last spot is scored, and at that point everybody has one more turn, and then you'll figure out who got the most points. I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So that is that section of the board, and we'll come back to that when I get to duels. Each person is going to have a player board like this, in which they're going to have a spot where all their treasure and their gold are going to be placed, and that's the stuff that you haven't put in your treasure chest already. You also have a spot for your origin and your talent. So when you have your origin, each player will get one of these discs that will be for each one of the islands after it's set up. Each person will take one of these and they'll place it face down like that in front of them to show that to like hide where they're going to start out on the board. Players can start out in the same place, but you can definitely just set that up. You also have a spot here for your talent. Each person gets to pick one of these cardboard tokens that just basically gives you a special power, like gain +1 strength in searching for treasure. This one, what does it say here? It says when hunting monsters, you start on the 5th space. That doesn't make any sense to you right now, but it will when I talk about the monsters, and so forth. You're going to pick one of those, so I'll take Ruffian. When dueling, I'll draw 5 cards and discard 1. You put that face down there, and then you place the rest off to the side. You won't be using those either. When the game begins, you'll reveal both of those things, and like I said, I start on Port Royal. I'll go ahead and start on Port Royal, and I actually have too many of my upgrades on my ship already, because your ships start off very, very basic to begin with, and which, you know, they just have 1 size, 1 speed, and 1 gun, but you will be upgrading them pretty quickly. All right, so and then I've already obviously placed the other ships. I just was going through that whole process. So just something cool about the ships I should mention. Well, you know what? I'll wait a little bit, because when I show you how to upgrade your ships, you'll be able to see how that works. All right, so now you have all your ship upgrades over here. Once again, I'll show that to you in just a little bit. On the board itself, there are these different islands, and some of these places have different effects that aren't islands. Like the ancient shipyard, if you're there, you get to roll a white die, and you can possibly get a ship upgrade or get some gold or take another action. Here in the mangroves, you'll roll this green die, and then you'll get maybe a free resource that you can put on your ship, and then be able to sell and use later. The floating market, you just get +100 gold if you are there, just because it's like a place where commerce takes place. The fog bank is +1 strength for attackers if you're on that route. So just kind of a little bonus there. However, these different spots here, these islands, each one of these islands has a flag that goes with it. Now these are standees. I don't have them standing up just because I wanted you to be able to see them easier. But they are standees that you set up that will stand up next to it so people can see them. Like I said, I'm just having them lying face down at this time, just because they're easier to see that way. Each of these standees will tell you what these different locations have. So like Saint David here, you can see for the top one is what you can buy there. If you're there, you can spend 100 gold and you can get rum. Then you can sell treasure there if you wish. You can sell sugar there for 400 gold, and you can sell cocoa there for 200 gold. So if you just want to be a trader, that's something you can do. You can move your stuff around and earn money that way. Some of the places like the Bay, it doesn't have stuff to purchase there, but you can hire, recruit sailors to your ship with special powers, and that's something you can do at the Bay. Like Port Royal is where you go and talk to the governor and get secret missions, and also Port Royal is a place where you can sell all of the goods, what have you. Also, islands are the places where you'll be doing ship upgrades, so keep that in mind as well, that if you have enough money, and you're going to have to upgrade your ship if you're going to have any shot at winning, you're going to need to do that. Alright, so whoever ends up being the first player, what they're going to do is they're going to take one of these tokens here, and I might as well just put them right there so you can see it. You take one of these tokens, you flip it over, and this will be the wind speed for this particular turn. Now this is actually, I actually have a 3 there, and there's that blue die there. And I'm just going to grab a couple other ones so you can kind of see. But right now, it says like the wind speed is 3, which is pretty good, because of the fact that that's going to add to movement. But there are 2s, 1s, 0s, and -1s. Like here's one that's a 2. Let me find another one here. Like here's one that's just a 0. So there are different levels of that. This is going to change. It's going to be the same for everybody this particular turn, but then the next round you'll reset that and you'll draw another one of those discs and you'll have that. So the one thing about if it isn't a 3, you just add or subtract, because there are -1s in there. As I said, you add or subtract that speed from the speed of everybody's ships that particular turn. But if it's blue, what you do is you roll the blue die, each person, so they get a variable. So like in this case, I got a 0. So my ship has a speed of 1, and but I get the +3 for that, so I would have a speed of 4 this particular turn. So that is what happens when you have a 3 for the speed. The actions each person takes. So each person, you'll get to take 3 actions, and you can take multiple actions of the same thing. One of the most basic actions is just traveling. Traveling is just moving from one space to another on the board. You can stop wherever you like. You don't have to. Be blocked. You can't be blocked by another player. You can't be blocked by a sea monster. You can't be blocked by anything. You can just continue moving. However, you can't pass through things and get the bonus for them. You actually have to, you can't pass through the Bay Island and then say, oh, by the way, I wanted to purchase, I wanted to hire some sailors in that location. You don't have that as an option. You have to actually stop there and then take that action. For example, if you stop in a spot where one of these merchant ships are, like so, as a free action, you get to pick that particular token up, and you get to flip it over and see how difficult that particular boat is. And so this might be tough to see with the lighting here, but you can see this is a level 3 ship. So my ship right now, because it's level 1, might have some difficulty, in catching up to this one doing. But if you're able to take it, it's worth 600 gold if you're able to do so. So there's things like that you can do. Now, you don't have to fight it if you stop in that spot, but you you can't. I couldn't move my 4 1, 2, 3, 4 so, and then oh, by the way, I wanted to look at that as I went by. You have to actually stop in that spot to do so. But you can take multiple travel actions. You can, in this, so I have a speed of 4. I could take my first travel action is that to move 4, and then if I wanted to, I could move 1, 2, 3, 4 and go to the floating market and get the bonus of 100 gold for going there. And then I could say go 1, 2 so, and then I wanted to stop here to see what this was, and I can see that this one has a strength of 4, so I probably don't want to fight that one either. So I'm looking for that merchant. But a lot of times in the game at the beginning, what you'll end up doing is you will be looking for ways to make cheap gold right away, upgrade your ship, and then be able to then go out and start taking on these merchant ships and attacking them and taking them down. But so I'm just travel, really straightforward. And like if you have a movement of 5, you don't have to move the full 5. You can move 2 if you want to. So just keep that in mind. If you end up in the space with another player, you can most certainly attack them as well. You can attack other players in this game. You can't sink them or kill them. You end up just taking some of their gold or treasure, or maybe taking some of their cargo. So it's more of like a thing where you weaken them and better yourself. But you can't actually like sink somebody and knock them out of the game. So there is no player elimination, so to speak. Alright, so moving on from travel, let's just go up to upgrading ships. So upgrading ships is actually kind of cool because it kind of goes into the whole toy aspect of the ships that you have. And this is obviously the thing that people are going to notice about this game to begin with. When you upgrade your ship, you will pay for each upgrade that you want. You can't just say, you know what, I'm going to, because each upgrade costs an increment amount of money moving forward. So at the beginning, you have just a level 1, you have 1 gun, you have 1 sail, and you have 1 size. You have space to carry 1 piece of cargo. But if you want to increase those things, you're going to have to pay at an island to have that done. Now you can get upgrades done because of the fact that you went to the ancient shipyard and you rolled the upgrade spot on the die, and then you're able to go ahead and get a free upgrade for that. So there are things that can happen in that regard, but for the most part, you'll be doing your upgrades of your ships when you get to those different spots. So if you move to a level 2, it costs 200. If you move to a level 3 in one of your stats, it's 300, 400, and so on and so forth, up to a maximum of 7 in any of your stats. So basically what the thing is, you're level 1 across the board, regardless to whatever. But then you get to, and the thing is that, so like here, watch this. This is like level 1 of everything across the board. But when we played, we just put the sails on them so we could tell whose ship was who. But so if I went to level 2 sails, this would be a level 2 ship, because of the fact that I have that 1 sail on there. So now that I could move, I'd have a base speed of 2 plus or minus whatever the wind is. Now here's where the kind of cool thing is. If you wanted to increase your guns, so you'd increase your strength, you have, and it might be tough to see this little yellow gun that's in my hand right there, but there is, and I'll just show you, there's this gun right there. That's the one that comes with it. But then there's these holes on the side there. And you just take these guns and you just slide them into the side of the ship like so. And then you can have up to 3 on each side to increase that. Now you might be saying, well, how do you increase the size? Well, here you just take the ship like this. You kind of wiggle it a little bit. And then you pull it apart like so. And then you take one of these, increase one of these, little thing like that, and then you add it on there, and you increased the size of your ship. Now you might see those 2 slots that are there. You use these little wheels with these 4 different colors on them. Like I said, this is where the toy aspect of the game comes from. So black means that is an empty hull space. Gold is rum, white is sugar, and brown is cocoa. So if you had, say, 1 rum, let me just slide these in here. If you had 1 rum and there we go. So we take this one, and I apologize, I'm doing this off camera. So I should have put these on when I put the thing on there. So you have this, and you just slide a little circle on there like that, and then like so. Let me put this guy back together. So now you have these little wheels that are in there, if you can see those. And if I had 2 rum, I would show the 2 rum like so, like 2 yellow. And if I sold those off, when I was at a location, I would just revolve them over to the black, like so. And then I would show that, if you can see that. And then, you know, obviously if there was like, if I had one sugar and one rum, it would look like so. You know, so this is just one of those like kind of things where you're playing it and you're like, this is really cool because of the fact that you can actually see your ship increase in power. Let me just kind of goof with it here just a little bit. And so let's just go ahead and add this big sail on there like so. And so in this case now I've got a gun on either side. So I have a strength of 3. I'm size level 2 because I've got those 2 spots, and I've got a speed of 4 because I've got 1, 2, 3, and then the boat is 1, so I've got a speed of 4. So that would be like a heavily upgraded ship. And but like I said, you can't just buy a ton of upgrades all at once. Like you can't say, I'm going to spend 2,000 gold and I'm going to buy a level 6, level 6 guns. I'm going to buy level, add another, level 3 this, and so forth. You can't. You have to. Each action is one upgrade. All right, so if you were in a spot where you can do trading, that is an action as well. Like if you're on Port Royal like I am, you can take the time to either buy or sell things. Now in Port Royal you can only sell things, but say I was over here on Santone, Santante, I can't speak, Sao Tome. Right there you can buy. You can sell sugar for 200, you can sell rum for 400, but you can buy cocoa for 100. So you can buy resources or sell resources and treasure. Now when you buy resources, you can obviously just buy what's for sale there, and then you can buy what you want. If you want to, you can dump the stuff that you have and buy it, but you have to actually take an action to sell the stuff off of your ship. And you can sell everything all at once. If you can just say, I'm selling all this stuff and I'm taking the money for it. If you have a treasure, and I'll talk about treasures here in a little bit when we get to that point, you can just sell the treasures off and get them what they're worth as well. So, and then you would take coins, equal to whatever you sold, and pay coins for whatever you purchased to put on your ship. Like I said, you'll be trading a lot, usually towards the beginning of the game, because you need to do so to earn some money, because you have to build your ship up before you can really start taking on the other ships that you're going to be fighting on either the opponents or the non-player character ships. Alright, so an action that you can also take is hiring crew or learning rituals. You can only hire crew at the bay, and you can only learn rituals at the Isla Oscura, which is where there's like a shaman on that particular place, and that's over here. And those will be randomly placed when you build up. So if you are in that location, you can choose to hire individuals, and you hire crew. It isn't like a random draw. You'll get to pick the ones that you want to purchase. And let me go ahead and grab those cards. So this is the deck of the crew, the specialist crew that you'll get, and you can take an action just to pick one of these cards. You can go through the entire deck and pick the one that you want. The big thing is, though, when you want to actually use the power of the particular, you have to pay the price that this particular card gives you. So like you can see this one for the Scurvy Saboteur, you need to pay 600 gold at the time that you want to play this particular card to use the power. You can have the card at any time, you can't, you have to hold on to it, and you actually have to pay the price for the action, so to speak. Now, and don't worry, there are several, there's several of each card in there, so it isn't like people can go there and take like a super good card and just hold on to it and make sure that nobody else can ever use it. So you can have a maximum of 3 crew cards and 3 ritual cards at any one time. If you want to take a 4th one, you're going to have to either play it or discard it in order to do so. So the other, you have the ritual cards. Rituals are kind of like a supernatural thing. Remember, I'm sure you watched the Johnny Depp movies. So there's different things where you can use the maelstrom to destroy a sea route if you wish to. You can use like Raise the Dead to have some zombie pirates help you fight. So here we go, and then here's like the power of I think it's id, and that like allows you to take an upgrade. So those are more like a supernatural thing than they are like an actual like classical pirate power. Now, like the sailor cards, you're allowed to have up to 3 of these rituals at any one time, and the price to pay them is just like, but these are more like goods and like treasures, or whatever, in order to use those. And those, you don't pay it when you take the card; you pay it for when you actually use the card for the power that you have. And remember, that one is found at Isla Oscura, which in this case is this spot up here. All right. So, accepting missions. Accepting missions is done at the governor's palace, which is here. Mission cards come in lots of different ways, and they're basically that. They're a mission that you can use that is going to earn you some sort of reward for doing so. When you take the action accepting missions, you will take this deck, which is this red deck of cards here, and you will take the top 3 cards of that deck, and you will look at those top 3 cards, and you'll pick one to accept as your mission. So just here we have, like, we'll go ahead, and I'm just seeing, okay, one that has an open eye like this means that it's a public mission, meaning that everybody knows that you have that mission. If you have a mission that has this closed eye like that, it is a secret mission and nobody else knows what you're trying to do. So in this case, like here we have the letter of marque, Isla Oscura. Official mission, reveal at once. Defeat all merchants on the shortest route between Port Royal and Isla Oscura while the mission is face up. Markers on the route are not replaced. Gain +1 strength for these attacks. So you're just given a letter of marque, and then you're given a reward. You know, for like you're going to get an upgrade, and you will get 1 sailor card for doing so. Now, and you remember you only get to pick one of these, and you put the other 2 on the bottom of the deck. So here we have boost the sugar trade, secret task, do not reveal, deliver 2 sugar to Isla Oscura, and then you get 1,000 gold for doing so, or you would get an upgrade. Like here, deliver boost the rum trade, and this is deliver 2 rum to Isla Oscura, and then same situation. And then you'll also notice that they have a victory point total that's in that spot that tells you, like, if you complete that particular, you get victory points for doing so. So also one of the life goals, like you can see, is like the King's Hand up there. You probably can't see it, like, but that particular mission is if you complete a certain number of missions for the governor, then you will that is one of the pirate goals, if you will. Now, some of these, like here, I'm gonna find one like here that like to show you, is here is like fill the coffers, and it just says deliver 4,000 gold. To like basically the governor is asking you to deliver him a bunch of money. Deliver 4,000 gold to Port Royal. If you do so, you get 2 victory points in reward at the start of the next 3 rounds. You gain 2,000 gold at the start of the next 3 rounds. So that is like a huge thing. Like you have to get 4,000 gold to that person, but if you manage to do so, you're going to get a ton of things. Here is a secret task of claim hegemony. Hire the Yellow Jack and send him to the island with the most ships. And the Yellow Jack is a pestilence ridden like character within the game. So there's tons of these, like there's tons of these missions, and like you take one of the 3 that you want, and then you put the other 2 at the bottom of the deck, and so like the other people don't know which ones you discarded. All right, so then finally, we haven't even got to fighting yet. Like I said, there's a lot that goes on, but the nice thing about this game is that it all makes sense, right? And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the final thing is searching for treasure. And what would be a pirate game without searching for treasure? So first of all, you have to do what's called scouting. And scouting is available at any of the 6 islands. And when you're basically, this is like you going to going ashore, going to like taverns and what have you, and finding out rumors of buried treasure, and you can get up to 3 treasure cards, and but you can't but once you start searching for one of them, and I'll show you how that works here in just a second. You have to go on that mission. But anyway, so let's go ahead and grab the treasure cards. And the treasure cards, and I'll just take, and so what happens is with the scouting, you look at the top 3 cards, a lot like what you did with the mission cards. And you pick the one that you want to go for, and then you return the other 2 to the bottom of the deck. So let's just see what we get here. So these 3 are, you have the a polished plank, the hardwood harpoon, and don't worry about this. This is just because it was a prototype, and they're covering up some of the art, whatever. And the sweat of the sun, and it actually tells you. So here this is in Juanita, and these 2 are in Isla Oscura, and so that's basically telling you that if you can go to these locations, then you're able to find, you can start searching for that treasure. So this one is just worth a bunch of money. If you find the sweat of the sun, it's worth 3,800 gold, and you can go ahead and you can sell that treasure, to when you go to a port for a ton of money. But some of these, like the hardwood harpoon, gives you +2 speed when you're hunting monsters, if you have that. Or here, the polished plank, players you defeat lose an additional strength upgrade, because that's one of the things you can do is the players will lose upgrades if you defeat them in battle. So you can get items that you can hold on to that will actually increase your power, if you will. But let's just say we just want a bunch of gold, so we want to get the sweat of the sun, and that's going to be at Isla Oscura. So eventually what we're going to do is we're going to have a treasure hunt card like this, and you place the treasure hunt on there like so. And so and then you have to be in the location where that treasure is to go on the treasure hunt. So how do you find the treasure? Well, okay, so you have the board where your treasure hunt is going to be on. And you'll notice that right there, you're going to see it says 23 on there. So you're always going to start on these 2 red footprints right there. But then what you're going to do is here's the Roman numeral 20, so 1, 2, 3. So the treasure is located on that footprint right there. So what you do is you take these 2 markers, put that right there, you place one right there, and you place one right there. Now, every time that you are in the spot where this particular treasure is in Isla Oscura, so we're in that location, and you take the hunt for treasure action, whatever your strength is, you get to move on the board that many spaces. So remember, I added 2 guns, that's why I have a strength of 3. And so if I took the action, I'd move 3 spaces. Now you might notice that there are these green and white boxes on there as well. If you land on one of those, you can then, you've stumbled upon something, you can, on your turn, roll the die. In this case, I didn't get anything. Let me roll again and see if I get something. Ugh, come on, give me lucky. I should just pick something. Okay, there, boom. So you can find something a little bit extra. And in this case, I got some sugar, just because I'm on that particular spot. The white die, you're going to roll that again, maybe get an extra action, maybe get an upgrade, maybe get some gold. But you continue doing so, and every time you just move on that track every single time and go up on the track. As soon as you either reach or go past that spot on the board, you then get the treasure, and you get to place that onto your ship. Now, you can leave, and that doesn't mean you stop digging for treasure. If you decide I'm going to leave and I'm going to go do something else, but I'm going to come back here to do it eventually, you totally can do that. You just go ahead and but you leave this on there. However, if you decide you want to hunt for a different treasure, you have to abandon how far you've gotten on this one, because you only can have one of these boards at any one time. So just keep that in mind, that you can save your progress, but you can't start a new mission. You go back to the beginning if you decided to come back and do this particular treasure. Now, treasure is, like I said, really good at getting you some cool improvements or some cool powers or whatever. There are lots of different things, but also there are things that you can find that aren't exactly treasure. You can find lost family members. Here you have your lost daughter, and that could be somebody that you would discover or find as you are going through and trying to find like lost family members, and that's another one of the things. As you can see, Family Man is one of those that's up there. You know, finding lost relatives. You can find them either through treasures, or you can find them through missions with your with from the governor. And if you do manage to rescue family members, and you have tokens like this, and not only is it a token that you get to place on your board to show that you found your lost son or whatever, but if you look on the back, like they give you special powers. Like your lost son says, when facing the crack under the sea serpent, you start on the 5th spot. Here we have like, you know, finding your lost father. And if you find your lost father at the start of each round, you just gain 200 gold. So family members aren't just worth points at the end of the game. They will be, you know, they give you really, really good bonuses as well. All right, so that is the Find Treasure. And I think finally, now we're actually going to talk about fighting. Yay! So there's two major things that are going to happen. Either when you do fighting, it's either going to be against the non-player characters, like the fortresses, or the other like these boats that are on the board are what you will be doing battle with. You can, as I said, fight players. Ostensibly, it's exactly the same. You either are going to have gunfights or boarding attacks. When you're sharing a sea space with another player or a merchant, and your ship has a higher speed value than either that player or that merchant, you can go ahead and do a gunfight. If you're doing a gunfight against a merchant, let me just actually just take my ship here. Let's just go ahead and place it right there. So I'm by that merchant. If you're doing a gunfight against merchant, they're always successful. You get to do 1 damage on that merchant. If any player declares a boarding attack against a ship later on, the merchant loses 1 strength for every damage marker on the ship. It can't ever be reduced lower than 0, though. So you can go down to 1, but you can't reduce it to nothing. But as an action, if you declare a gunfight against another player, you roll the red damage die. And it shows strength, speed, or size, and then if your opponent has to remove one of those corresponding upgrades from their ship. If you roll an empty side, your opponent avoids the attack. So, you just have this red die. So, like, if these two were in the same spot, like so, we'd roll that red die, and I got sails, and that might be a little tough to see, so I apologize for that. But you get sails, and then, like, I would say, oh, blue ship loses its sails, so I'd have to take that off, like so. And then they would lose that upgrade. So that part of the fighting is really, really simple and really, really straightforward. There are these damage crystals that you will use against, like, so let's say my action was I moved to that spot because I get 3 actions. I did an automatic attack action to do 1 damage to it, like so, to put a crystal on there to show that damage, and now I'm going to do a boarding action to actually try to take the ship. Maybe because when you board a ship, that's when you're actually able to take its cargo and earn the money that's on there. So with a boarding attack, what it is, if you're boarding a merchant, you reveal the marker, so everybody can see it, like so. And so as we've already seen this one, it has a strength of 3, but because of the fact that it's got that marker on there, it's now going to have a strength of 2. So then, starting with you and then going clockwise, all players have, like, if players have crew or ritual cards that have special powers that they can use to interrupt these things, they can do so at that time. And just that's going to mess with you just a little bit before it happens. Now, if players attacking a merchant, the player, like another player, usually the player to your left, will take on the role of that merchant, and then you compare the strengths of the 2 ships. I have a strength of 3. It normally would have a strength of 3, but it has a strength of 2. So now, because we're attacking a ship and we're boarding, now we actually are going to, like, the dueling portion of things. Remember I talked about the dueling board that's over here? So just keep that in mind. Now we're going to actually duel and see what it is. So what happens is that I have +1 strength compared to the opponent. So I will take this little thing and put this, like, on to show that I move forward 1. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to force, if I'm attacking, you're trying to push it all the way to here, so then you've, like, knocked the the opposing captain off the ship, and they're trying to do the exact same thing. But I start off with a bonus because I have +1 strength. If I had enough strength to push the opposing captain all the way off, you could totally do that right away. Like, you know, because and you wouldn't have to go through the whole duel action. And that works against other players as well, if that's the case. So, and the starting setup would be exactly the same if you were doing it against another player as well. And I should mention that this is the exact same thing you do if you're attacking a fortress as well. But the fortress has a couple other things that, well, I might as well just tell you. When you attack a fortress, like these are worth 2,000 gold when you take them out. You know, so you can see that it says 2,000 gold in there. But they have a special power on the other end where it says, like here it says, like defeat this fortress without bonuses from crew or ritual cards. You can't use any bonuses when you're trying to do that particular battle. This one says, and it also tells you the strength, like that's strength of 6. This is a strength of 8. As you can see, fortresses are tough to take out. Any ship 7 or less spaces away can move here and fight you instead of the fortress. Players decide in clockwise order. And then the fortress remains undefeated in this case. So like, you could say, I'm going to attack this fortress, and then another player could say, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and move over there and attack you instead. And so, like, those are, like, special things you reveal that you can discover those, like, through, like, rituals and things like that. But, sometimes those are surprises and things that you won't be happy about. All right, so how do duels work? Well, that's where this dueling deck comes into play. So the dueling deck is, pretty simple. Each person normally would draw 4. Remember, I took this one that allows me to draw 5 and discard 1. The reason why you draw 4 is because, each person is going to be able to, fight back and forth until those 4 cards are normally going to be how long that this duel is going to last. The duel is either going to end because you've knocked somebody off of the dueling board, or it ends and because people are out of cards, and then you see where you are, and whoever, if it's on this side, then the attacker wins. If it's on that side, the defender wins. If it's right in the middle, it's a draw. So the cards, I'm just going to grab a bunch of them here, are pretty simple. Most of them will have something like this, where it'll say the attacker is over here, and they're used for both attacks and defense. So the attack over here says it is attack of 2, and this is just a low guard. And so what happens is that the attacker will reveal the card that they're attacking with, like so, and then the defender will reveal a card if they wish to try to defend against that. Now, they can choose not to if they want to, because of the fact that maybe they don't have a card that defends against that attack, or they want to hold on to that card so they can attack themselves next round. But if the attack succeeds, you then do the damage that's here, and you push the person back in that particular thing. And then the next person, then they say, okay, I'm going to do a high attack, that has a level 3. And so then, but as long as you have the right level of defense, you're able to protect yourself against that particular attack. Now, there are different cards that do different things, like here's an insult card. So an insult says your opponent discards 1 card at random. It's like, hey, you landlubber, or whatever, and you make them discard one of their cards. There's cards like this, when you play them. And these are when you're attacking. You don't play these when you're defending. So feint, draw 2 cards, then discard 1 card. So you can replenish your hand and get some better things. And this one, as you can see, is a defensive card where it says throw sand, and then it can block any non-rigging attack. Let me see if I can find a rigging attack card here, digging through. Yeah, here we go. So a rigging attack is this, where it's it does 1 damage and it's unblockable. So if you play this, the other player can't do anything about it, and you do a damage. But anyway, so the duels, I was, they're over relatively quickly, and they play very fast, but they're very decisive. And if you defeat the merchant, you gain the rewards that the merchant gets. You also get to take the token and place it into your thing, because that's going to be worth victory points at the end of the game for those. If you defeat another player, you actually do get, like here, these are the ones for me. But if another player defeats you, they get to take one of these tokens and put it into their treasure chest because it's worth 2 victory points. Notice how you only have 3 of them because no matter how many times a person defeats you, they don't get to keep collecting those. They only can get 1 of them. So like each of the other players get a chance to take you out and get those victory points if possible. But but it is worth it to attack other players because you do kind of knock them down by doing so, and it does help you out a little bit. Now the duels against the if you lose like a battle that you initiated, you lose an upgrade. So just keep that in mind that you do get to, there is a negative towards being defeated. All right, so that's combat, and combat, like I said, is very quick, and it's good that it is quick too, because especially if it's not against another player, like the other players might be bored if it was just like a long drawn out process, but it is a very quick and decisive battle, and then everybody else can just get back to enjoying the game and doing their own thing on their own turn. Alright, so fighting monsters. Okay, so there is a sea serpent, there's a kraken that you can summon. You summon the kraken by getting a ritual from Isla Oscura. You summon the sea serpent by hiring the first mate from the sailor deck. There are these 2 large discs, the sea serpent and the kraken. When you summon one, what you end up doing is you take this and you get to place it in one of the special locations, like here's the fog bank or mangroves or whatever, and you place it over it like so. Usually you'll be in one of these locations when you summon it. As long as the sea serpent or the kraken is there, you can't use that special spot until it's defeated. You also can't put a monster on top of a monster. So I put the sea serpent down, but I just want to show you how this works. Like, so it's going to be a lot like the treasure, like searching for treasure. Each time that you are on the spot and you take the action of monster hunt, you get to move your marker that you'll place on there, like so, on the starting one. You'll get to move your marker depending upon whether it is strength or speed that matters that for the monster. You'll get to move it along this track, and then hopefully you'll get to the very end showing that you defeated it. If you end up on a blue circle what happens, you'll take this the blue die and you'll roll it. And if you get a bonus, like here it says like minus, it says on that one it says -2, you would lose 2 spaces. If you roll well and get like a 2, you'd get a bonus of 2 spaces to do so. If you end up on a red spot, you would roll a die, and then if you have an action like sails there, you would actually get damage to your ship from fighting like the sea serpent that you have. When and if you defeat the sea serpent, and other people can come over there to fight this too. It isn't like you claim the monster. They can also come over and do battle with it as well. If you are able to go ahead and defeat it, then you can take like one of the tokens that represents it, and like you can see, like not only will it have like you can see that there's a little 4 victory point on there, like that the red circle, but on the back end of it, you'll see that it gives you a bonus. In this case, like this is 2 treasures. So it is very worth your while to attack and fight with the sea serpent and the kraken, because you can get a lot of victory points, and you can also like get really good rewards for doing so. You also can you can discard a treasure from your ship at any time to move 5 spaces forward on either of the monster spots, or like when fighting the sea serpent, you can discard 300 gold to move 1 space forward, and when fighting the kraken, you can discard any 1 good at any one time to go forward a spot. So like if you have a bunch of goods or gold on board, you can definitely do those actions and take care of those and get them. And you can use those. That doesn't count as an action. You can just go ahead and do that. And that's a really good way that if you plan ahead to be able to defeat the monsters pretty easily. All right. Whew. So eventually what's going to happen is that the game will be at the point where like each of like the penultimate, the second to last goal has been achieved. When that happens, then the game, everybody gets one last turn depending on who the first player was, and then you're going to total up your total victory points. You do that by counting up like the stuff that you put into your treasure chest, and then also your life goals. You count all the victory points that you have. That, you know, for your points for defeated ships, points for treasures and missions, and points for your rescued family members. You also get 1 point for every 1,000 gold that you put away in your chest, and then obviously the bonus points that you also picked for the life goals that you wanted to go for. If you if there's any sort of a tiebreaker, the player who filled the fewest missions for the governor wins, because you're pirates after all, and you're not supposed to be doing like, you know, the job of the governor. You should be being out there being a rascal, a scoundrel, if you will. So there you go. As I said, that was going to take quite a while to get through all the different things that you can do and kind of show you how the game works. You know, if you got through it all, I appreciate it very much. If you have any questions, well, you know what? Let me tell you exactly why I think this pirate game really kind of steps it up in a lot of ways, in a way that I wasn't really expecting, but one I'm very, very excited and very, very pleased with how it presented itself to me. And I'm going to talk a little bit about pirate games in general as well. All right, cool. All right, so there we go. That is Shiver Me Timbers. All right, so this is a very audacious game. I will just say that to begin with. Obviously, this was a game that they wanted to be. Somebody really loved Sid Meier's Pirates, and they really loved the Curse of the Black Pearl. You know, they like that, and they jammed those two things together, and they created a really good game. I mean, basically, there's other pirate games out there that I played that I enjoyed. The old Blackbeard game from GMT. Like, obviously, there's the Merchants and Marauders. I did a video for that a long time ago, and that was like something I really, really enjoyed. And I still really enjoy that game. I can't, oh man, I can't remember the other game that I reviewed maybe a year and a half ago. Really, regardless, maybe I'll put it in the notes. But another pirate game that I really enjoyed. There was, I mean, before the three, that one that I can't remember the name of, like Pirate's Life, I think it was called, or something like that. You know, very, very much a simulation of the world. But Blackbeard was also a very good simulation, and Merchants and Marauders was like, from Christian Markinson, was like something I just really, really liked as well, and it's a game I still play. But this one, Shiver Me Timbers, is one of those things where it has a little bit of the simulation. It has like kind of the toy aspect to it, which I liked a great deal, and it made me think of Sid Meier's Pirates, which is, of course, if you are a pirate game player, that is kind of the gold standard when it comes to these things. I still bust out the old school Sid Meier's Pirates and play it on my computer from time to time, just because there's just something fun about being a pirate and having that kind of simulation. And enjoying the actual playing of it, if you will. The thing about this game is, as opposed to, like, say, Merchants and Marauders, which I kind of captured that feel as well, is that Merchants and Marauders was a game that lasted a long time, and it isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was one of those things where it was, when you sat down, you're like, okay, this is going to be like 3 hours, or more if you had more players, and so. This was one of those things where it's like, this game wraps up in under 2 easily, and I've had 2-player games wrap up in an hour. So, but I still was able to get that feel of that wonderful juicy feel of playing a pirate game in that short little period of time, and that's something that, like, when it comes to like thematic experiences, and this game is definitely one of those things. When it comes to thematic experiences, this one really shines when it comes forth with that. Now, the game itself looks beautiful. The mechanisms work perfectly. It has the right dose of strategy, the right dose of tactics, and the right dose of luck going on as you play the game. Now, the couple things after I got done talking about the rules, a couple things I didn't mention, I forgot to, and I'm just touching on those really quickly. When you defeat the merchants on those spots, like you saw those, there are tougher merchants that take the place of that. After everybody's gone, you replenish those in the different locations. So just keep in mind that like you never clear off all the merchants. You're always going to have more of those ships showing up, and like having different targets that people can attack. So keep that in mind. There's nothing stopping you from attacking the sea serpent and the kraken more than once. It isn't one of those things where you only attack it once. You can definitely go after them, again and again if you so desire. So just if that's a strategy you want to take, you can definitely do that. And also, like I think I mentioned this, but just in case I didn't, you are allowed to put your money, like as a free action on your turn, into that treasure chest at any time. You just can't take it out. So just keep that in mind. So like if you're like just gonna go, I'm gonna get a ton of money, and I'm gonna get a ton of points by getting a ton of money. That's a viable strategy. And if you can pull that off, just make sure you're putting that money in that treasure chest. Otherwise, when other players come and they defeat you, they're able to take treasures from you. They're able to take gold from you. So make sure that like if you get the gold in the treasure chest, it's protected. They can't touch it. So that's something to think about. So basically, Shiver Me Timbers is just super good. I mean, it's exactly what I want from a pirate game. It's exactly Pirate Republic. That's what the name of the other game was. Okay, just popped in my head. This is exactly the type of game that I wanted it to be. It combines all of the cool aspects of having cool ships, like miniatures of the ships moving around on the board. It has like the cool aspects of the different, like all the things from like Sid Meier's Pirates that I was looking for. It has the supernatural parts of like the Johnny Depp movies that I was looking for, and it just feels like you're playing a pirate game. And that's really important for you when it comes to this theme. A theme that, is, finally, like in the last few years, is finally getting a lot more games coming out for it. But in my opinion, haven't had a lot of really, really great games with the theme. But thankfully, we have another one right here. So there you go. If you have any questions about Shiver Me Timbers, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked it, go ahead and click on that old button or whatever and tell people about it or whatever you want to do. Mostly, though, remember, be the best version of you that you possibly can be every single day of your life. I guarantee you that if you give love to the universe is going to love you back. Until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and you're awesome.